What's up, my ninjas? Ninja Lumberjack here, and today we're going to be making a PVC bow. That's right, a bow made of PVC, but we're going to paint it to look like wood. So here we go. Honestly, I probably should have just kept that, like, what, 4 inches? Yeah, look at that, pretty much exact. Yeah, I should have kept that now that I think about it. Because then it would have been a 5-foot bow. Yeah. So now that we got our piece cut at 56 inches, we need to mark the center of it and mark out our handle and stuff like that so we can get ready to heat up the pipe and get it situated the way we want. So we need half of 56, and a cool trick I learned is you can take it, put it on 56, and then I don't know if I can get this to show on camera really well, but if you look at you put the end of your tape on the number that you need. For us is 56, and so you look right down the center, and for us that's gonna be 28. I did not realize I didn't readjust the camera, but what I did, I just marked out our handle. I put our center mark at 28, and then 2.5 from either side, giving us a 5-inch handle, good size area. And so now from in between the first line on either end and the end of the pipe is what you want to heat up and flatten out. So there we go. Now we're good. So this is, so those little pieces you saw me cut there, they're just going to be like kind of the guides for where the bow will start to bend versus where it will end, so to have a nice clean taper. And as you see, we just break out the heat gun and we heat it up till it's nice and like squishy, like the whole pipe is evenly squishy all the way across. And then you add in those 2 spacers that I cut, and you want those the same size as your pipe, that way it sits right. And so after you do that, you put it on there and you flatten it down, and with those little spacers it'll make it where the tip of the bow is completely flat, but when you get to where the handle transition is, you put it on that mark and then it's the same size, so it creates this really nice, clean, even taper. And if you pull the board off while the PVC is still a little bit warm, not squishy but still a little bit warm, you can kind of bend and straighten and like fine tune it a little bit, kind of like when you heat treat things, you like right after it comes out, you got like a few seconds where you can kind of work with and bend it a little bit. This is kind of what this is, and as you see, it creates that really beautiful taper right there. It just looks really clean, really nice, and yeah, it's coming out pretty well so far. Now we just got to repeat it to the other side. Let's throw this piece on the jig. And another thing you want to do is you want to make sure you keep the heat away from your, that's kind of what that center mark is for. Make sure you definitely don't heat past that center mark. You want to heat on this mark, but don't go past it, because you don't want to heat up those other limbs and knock those out of shape. I was gonna say temper, but you should kind of get what I'm saying. Make sure you got it as straight as you possibly can. Go ahead and put up the little fills, because you'll have a little bit of time to straighten it afterwards. And you can use clamps and stuff for this to hold it down flat and all if you need to get it nice, and so it can hold it so you don't have to. But I don't have the patience to pull out the clamps and to do that, so I just like push down on it with my arms and like rest on it a little bit. So all I'm doing is I'm taking it and I'm just bending it by hand to see if it collapses anywhere. I'll try to do it from the side so you can see. Yep, this one's got a weak spot right here. I can feel it. When I flex it back, it's gonna This one's got a bad spot. It's about to collapse right there. I guess that transition just ain't smooth enough. Let's see. Watch. Yep, I can see it is starting to buckle right here. So I'm gonna try to but this limb seems. Nope. That one's about to buckle too. Yep. They are both wanting to buckle, so we kinda gotta reheat and redo it. So instead of reheating it, I decided to just remake it because I'm not sure why it did that. It could have just been I didn't heat it properly. Maybe that spot wasn't the same temperature, or it could just be that that piece of pipe wasn't as good, because it really varies from pipe to pipe. They're all a little bit unique. But so I ended up just remaking it, going through all the same steps right there. Actually showed me doing the handle bit, tracing it out anyways. But yeah, just take your time. If you have to redo it, you have to redo it. It doesn't take long at all. But so I just went back, reheated it, redid everything, and then now I'm back to where we had left off previously. And this is where I was going to do the handle. So this is a new bow, but same process. I just redid it. And so what I did this time, instead of doing either the limbs, now I'm just heating up in between the two farthest lines. For our handle section, I heated it up. Feels nice and squishy, as you can see. And then I just you can take a rag or anything. I just have a scrap piece of leather right here. And so you just kind of want to rub it up and down, side to side, squish it a little bit, and create like a nice even transition between handle and bow limb. And you'll see as we do that, it'll start to harden up again, it'll settle, but it'll also be creating this really nice, comfortable shape. And if you want to, you can do what I did, where it's called deflex, I believe, where I just bent the bow outwards a little bit, so the handle kind of comes in towards you a little bit more. That way when we string it up, that's a bit of deflex, and it'll make the bow curve a little bit more with a little bit more strength and just shape to it. I didn't really intend to do that, but it kind of started to naturally do that, so I was like, you know, let's just embrace it and go with it. And after that, just make sure you take the time to check your limbs, check your handle. Do the handle the same way you did the limbs. Look down it, make sure everything's straight and nice. And like I said, as long as it's a little bit warm, you have that little bit of time to kind of transition and tweak it a little bit. Also, to help you cool down the limbs faster, I didn't show it, but what I would do is I had a cup of water with a rag, and I would, once I got it where I wanted it to be, I would take that wet rag with water and just rub it down, and it would cool it off almost instantly and let it hold its shape so you can carry on. And then so here, about an inch down from the ends of each side of the bow, I marked out our notches for our bowstring. And then I just came back with some files and just carved those in until I felt like they were deep enough for the string to sit and rest. I honestly, now looking back at it, feel like I might have did them a little too deep. You wouldn't necessarily have to do them that deep, but I did. But kind of to each their own. Work on it, see what works best for you. And then after you got those knocks, you're ready to string it up. So what I do, I think this is called a slip knot. It's literally just like a standard knot, but with a loop in the middle. I don't really know how to explain it well, but you can kind of see how I do it. But you make one of those, you put it on the end of the bow, and then you mark, or you make another loop about 4 inches, give or take, down from that down from the end of the bow. You want to do about 4 inches from the end of the bow, which you can adjust that how you want. If you want it to not flex as much or flex a little bit more, I'm pretty sure you can tweak that a little bit here and there. But I'm just gonna go with the standard 4 inches. At least that's what I did, and that seemed to work for me. And then just trim off the excess cord. I'm just using paracord, by the way, nothing special. And then now you're ready to string it up. I don't know if this is actually the proper way to do this. I feel like I've seen someone else do this before in another video. So what you do is you put the handle of the bow like on the back of your knee on one leg, and then the bottom of the bow like right down on your shin ankle area on the other leg. And then with your other hand at the top of that limb, you just pry it down until you can get that loop over it, and boom, you have a fully strung bow. And in this case, a fully strung PVC bow. And it's looking great. This is where you kind of just like test it, pull on it, see what the weight feels like, see if it's gonna collapse anywhere, find out what your draw is, just kind of fiddle with the bow a little bit, get the feel for it, make sure everything's the way you want it to be. And then there's just a couple more seconds of me just kind of fiddling with it and just pulling it back, playing with it just to see if it's gonna hold up, and just because it's a PVC bow, it's really cool. I'm really happy with where we are in this project. So now that we have the bow itself built to a good point, I think it's at a great shape, it's at a great temper. I don't know why I keep wanting to say temper, but it's got a very nice curve to it. I feel like that little bit of deflex did a lot for it. I mean, this thing is tight. Like, I don't know if people can use science to find out how strong that is just from that, but it tight. You can almost play music with it. It tight. But now what we need to do is make it look like wood. So I guess this is the painting portion. I did come back later with a like fishing weighing scale, and the bow was about 25 pounds. Nowhere near as strong. I thought it was way stronger than that, but I guess I'm just weak. But yeah, it's only like 25 pounds. And yeah, so here I just sanded up the pipe real well. Just scuffed it up with, I think, like 120 to just give it some grit so that we can come back and paint it. What we can create from this little mixture. And so what this mixture is, it's just like Mod Podge and then a couple of brown paints kind of mixed together just to give me some color. The only reason I'm using Mod Podge, normally you wouldn't want to use that on plastic, but the only reason I'm doing it is to kind of give it a little bit of a texture. And it does seem to work out in the end, so I'm okay with it. First layer done. This is going to be layer 2. There's slightly more yellow paint. You can do the handle section too if you want. I just didn't see no need since I'd be gluing a wrap onto it later. But with this layer, I just added a little bit of yellow and mixed it up a little bit. Just change the color between the layers. So we got a base brown on it, but it's the PVC print is showing through a little bit. So I want to see if I can knock that back a little bit more by doing a non-Mod Podge based paint layer. And I got it mixed up as a bit of a darker brown, because, you know, layers. Look at me taking the time to show all my painting steps at the same time. To be fair, it's because I was able to do this whole project in a day, like one single day, so it worked out that way. I gotta quit doing that. I'll get carried away watching a show or something, and then start working on it while I'm watching the show and forget all about recording. But this is one side of it done up. Long story short, it's looking pretty good. And so all it was is that first layer and then that second paint you saw me mix up. I did that on there, and then I sanded it back to knock off the shine and just to let a little bit more of it show through, and it looks a little bit more wooden now. And this side's all painted up with it, and so now we just got to sand this one back the same that we did this one, and it should have that nice natural looking look to it too, because it just looks like very old aged dirty wood. That's kind of what this is looking like, I think, anyways. So I'm just gonna take some sandpaper, scuff this up again, and we'll be good. And so yeah. And as I said, this I was able to do this in a day, and I probably could have did it faster, but I kept getting sidetracked watching TV and all. But yeah, this didn't take no time. That's why you're getting to see all the painting in one go. And then here, I'm just taking some scrap pieces of leather I have. I don't know what more to say than that. It's just some scrap pieces of leather, and there's a few different ways you could do this. You can like make you a cool little template and then stitch it on there with the leather. But I decided to keep this very simple and just do a little like spiral wrap up the handle. And just make sure you do like roughly an inch past where your handle is, just so you have a place to knock your arrow. That way it'll scuff up the leather instead of your paint. So now you got a nice little handle wrap, and I'm hoping I went high enough so that I can rest the arrow on it as well. So I'm gonna string it up real quick and get a look-see. this is the top end, so you would hold it about right there, and so you would knock it about right here. Oh yeah, that works perfect. It's perfect room. Cool. So we have ourselves a PVC. See if I can get it, because when it's darker, you can kind of see the details a little bit better. PVC wooden bow. See if it'll focus on that detail. There we go. You'll see it in the B-roll. And well, guys, we're coming to an end. That's a PVC bow for you. I don't know what else much to say other than we're gonna make arrows next, so definitely stay tuned for that, because next we got to make some arrows, and I want to make them look stone and kind of like survival, primitive looking. And so look forward to that. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed making it, and stay tuned for the next one. I'll definitely be back, and yeah, see you guys then.